Previously, when Jungkook arrived that evening, Taehyung told him everything, and he watched his alpha's expression darken with protective fury. "Stay away from him," Jungkook said, pulling Taehyung close. "If he comes back, call me immediately." But Haesung did come back. Again and again. Each time with expensive gifts that Taehyung refused, each time with compliments that made his skin crawl, each time with that predatory smile that promised things Taehyung never wanted to know. "You don't understand," Haesung said during his 5th visit, his alpha command bleeding into his voice. "I always get what I want. And I want you." "I'm not interested," Taehyung said firmly, though his omega nature trembled under the weight of such a powerful alpha's attention. "I love someone. I'm going to be bonded to him." "That can be changed," Haesung replied coldly. When Jungkook found out Haesung had been harassing Taehyung despite clear refusals, he confronted the older alpha outside the bookshop. Taehyung watched through the window, his heart in his throat as the two alphas faced off. "He's mine," Jungkook growled, his own alpha nature rising to meet the challenge. "Back off or I'll make you." Haesung laughed, the sound cruel and mocking. "You're just a detective boy. I own half this city. What makes you think you can stop me from taking what I want?" "Because he doesn't want you," Jungkook replied, his voice deadly calm. "And I will protect what's mine with my last breath." "We'll see," Haesung said, and the promise in those words sent ice down Taehyung's spine. The attack came 2 weeks later. Taehyung was closing up the shop, the sun already set, when a van pulled up. Before he could react, 3 men grabbed him, a cloth pressed to his face. He tried to fight, tried to scream for Jungkook, but the world went dark. He woke in an unfamiliar room, his wrists bound to a chair, his head pounding. Haesung stood before him, that same cold smile on his face. "Finally," the alpha said, reaching out to touch Taehyung's face. The omega flinched away. "You're even more beautiful when you're afraid." "Jungkook will find me," Taehyung said, his voice shaking but defiant. "He'll come for me." "Oh, I'm counting on it," Haesung replied, pulling out his phone. Jungkook was in a meeting when his phone rang with an unknown number. The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, cold, belonged to one of Haesung's men. "Your omega is with Mr. Haesung. If you want to see him alive, come to the warehouse on Pier 19. Alone. You have 1 hour." Jungkook's blood turned to ice. "If you hurt him. 1 hour, detective. Or we'll see just how much an omega can take." The line went dead. Jungkook broke every traffic law getting there, his heart hammering against his ribs. He knew it was a trap. He knew he should call for backup. But all he could think about was Taehyung, scared and alone, needing him. The warehouse was in a dark alley, shadows pooling like spilled ink. The moment Jungkook stepped inside, he saw Taehyung, tied to a chair, tears streaming down his beautiful face, a gag in his mouth. Their eyes met, and Jungkook saw the fear there, the love, the desperate hope. "Jungkook, no." Taehyung tried to scream around the gag, but it was too late. They came from all sides, 5, 6, 7 men, all of them larger than Jungkook, all of them hired muscle. He fought with everything he had, landing punches, taking down 2 before a pipe connected with his ribs. Then his jaw. Then his stomach. "Stop." Taehyung was sobbing now, writhing against his bonds. "Please stop. I'll do anything." Haesung emerged from the shadows, immaculate as ever, not a hair out of place. He walked over to where Jungkook had fallen, blood pooling beneath him, and crouched down. "You see Omega?" Haesung called to Taehyung. This is what happens when you choose the wrong alpha. This weak excuse for a detective can't protect you. But I can give you everything: power, wealth, safety. Never, Taehyung choked out. I'll never be yours. Haesung's expression hardened. Then watch him die. He nodded to his men, and they descended on Jungkook again. The detective tried to fight, tried to get up. But there were too many and he was already too broken. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was Taehyung's face, twisted in anguish, screaming his name. When Jungkook woke, he was alone in the alley, his phone ringing insistently beside him. Every breath was agony, his vision swimming. He answered without looking at the caller ID. Kookie. It was his partner Jean. Where are you? We've been trying to reach you for hours. Taehyung, Jungkook rasped. They took Taehyung. I need to find him. You need a hospital. We're tracking your phone now, stay where you are. No. Jungkook cut him off, forcing himself to his feet despite the screaming pain. No hospital. I need to find him. He has his phone, I can track it, He was already moving, stumbling toward his car. His training kicked in through the pain, his detective mind working through the fog. Taehyung always kept his phone in his pocket. Always. If Haesung's men hadn't found it? His hands shook as he pulled up the tracking app, watching the small blue dot appear on his screen. An address across town. An upscale apartment building. Haesung's home. I'm going to kill him, Jungkook muttered, starting the engine despite the blood still dripping from his split lip. I'm going to. Him. He called Jean back, gave him the address, told him to bring every officer they had. Then he drove like hell was chasing him, because hell was exactly where he'd send anyone who tried to claim his Omega. The penthouse was on the top floor. Jungkook didn't wait for the elevator, taking the stairs despite his broken ribs, his sprained ankle, his concussion. He could hear Taehyung before he reached the door, crying, begging, the sound of it like knives in his chest. He didn't knock. He kicked the door in, the wood splintering under his rage and desperation. The scene before him made his vision go red. Taehyung was tied to a bed, his shirt torn. Haesung looming over him, teeth bared, about to mark him, to claim him, to steal everything that mattered. Get away from him, Jungkook snarled, and his voice was barely human. Haesung turned, surprise flickering across his face before it hardened into arrogance. You should be gone. You should have made sure of that. Jungkook launched himself at the other alpha, and all his training, all his pain, all his love for Taehyung poured into his fists. He didn't feel the punches Haesung landed. Didn't feel his broken bones protesting. He just kept hitting, kept fighting, kept protecting what was his until Haesung crumpled to the floor, unconscious. Only then did he turn to Taehyung, his hands gentle despite the violence they'd just committed as he untied the ropes. Kookie, Taehyung sobbed, throwing himself into Jungkook's arms the moment he was free. You came. You're alive. He pulled back, taking in Jungkook's battered face, his bleeding wounds, the way he swayed on his feet. Oh God, Jungkook, you need a hospital. I need you, Jungkook said, cupping Taehyung's face with shaking hands. Are you hurt? Did he? No, Taehyung assured him quickly. You got here in time. You saved me. Then Jungkook's knees buckled. And Taehyung caught him, both of them sinking to the floor as sirens wailed in the distance. Stay with me, Taehyung begged, cradling Jungkook's head in his lap. Please, Kookie, stay with me. Always, Jungkook whispered, and then the world went dark again. The hospital room was too white, too sterile, smelling of antiseptic and fear. Taehyung hadn't left Jungkook's side in 3 days, holding his hand even when the alpha was unconscious, talking to him about everything and nothing, begging him to wake up. "I need you," he whispered into the quiet room. "I need you to wake up so I can tell you how much I love you. So I can say yes." "Yes to what?" came a rough voice, and Taehyung's head snapped up to find Jungkook's eyes open, tired but alert, looking at him with so much love it hurt. "Jungkook." Taehyung launched himself at his alpha, careful of the bandages and IVs, sobbing into his neck. "You're awake. You're okay. I was so scared." Hey, Jungkook soothed, running his fingers through Taehyung's hair despite how much it must have hurt to move. "I'm okay, baby. I'm here." "What did you mean, yes?" Taehyung pulled back, laughing through his tears. "I found the ring in your jacket pocket when I went to get you clothes. You were going to propose." "I was," Jungkook admitted, his thumb brushing away Taehyung's tears. "I had this whole plan. Sunset at the cherry tree, rose petals, the works. But Tae, after almost losing you—" "Yes," Taehyung interrupted, pressing their foreheads together. "My answer is yes. It's always been yes. It will always be yes." Jungkook's smile was brilliant despite his split lip and bruised jaw. "Marry me, Kim Taehyung. Be my omega, my mate, my forever." "Yes," Taehyung said again, kissing him softly, carefully. "Yes, yes, yes." Haesung was arrested on charges of kidnapping, assault, and attempted forced bonding, a crime punishable by decades in prison. His empire crumbled as his crimes came to light, other victims coming forward. Taehyung testified with Jungkook beside him, squeezing his hand whenever the memories became too much. Jungkook recovered slowly but surely, his alpha constitution helping him heal faster than human normal. 2 months after the attack, he was cleared for active duty. 3 months after, on the first warm day of spring, they stood under their cherry tree and became husbands. The Maldives stretched out before them like something from a dream, water so blue it hurt to look at, sand so white it seemed to glow under the moonlight. Their overwater apartment sat perched on stilts above the Indian Ocean, glass floors revealing the marine life swimming beneath them. The horizon endless in every direction. "Jungkook," Taehyung breathed, stepping onto the private deck as the sun began its descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold and pink. "This is perfect." "You're perfect," Jungkook said, coming up behind him, wrapping his arms around Taehyung's waist. He was fully healed now, no more bandages or bruises, just his strong alpha body holding his omega like he'd never let go. "My perfect husband. My perfect mate." They'd waited for this. Waited until Jungkook was healed, until the trial was over, until they could leave the nightmare behind and focus only on each other. Tonight was their bonding night, the night they would claim each other fully, completely, forever. "I love you," Taehyung whispered, turning in his husband's arms. "I love you so much it scares me sometimes." "Don't be scared," Jungkook said, lifting Taehyung's left hand to kiss the ring that now sat on his finger. "I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never have reason to be scared again." The kiss started slow, gentle, but quickly deepened as a year of longing and love poured between them. Jungkook's hand slid down to Taehyung's hips, pulling him closer, and Taehyung made a small sound of need that had the alpha growling low in his chest. "Inside," Jungkook managed, his voice rough with barely controlled desire. I want to take my time with you. Want to worship every inch of you. The apartment's bedroom was all white linens and soft lighting. Open to the ocean breeze, the sound of waves a constant lullaby. Rose petals scattered across the bed, candles flickering on every surface, the scent of vanilla and sandalwood filling the air. Jungkook lifted Taehyung easily, carrying him to the bed, laying him down with a gentleness that made the Omega's heart ache with love. They'd been intimate before, but this was different. This was their bonding night, the beginning of forever. The moment they would become one in every way that mattered. You're so beautiful, Jungkook murmured, hovering over Taehyung, his eyes dark with emotion and desire. My beautiful Omega. My Tae. Taehyung reached up, pulling his alpha down for a deep kiss, pouring everything he felt into it, his love, his trust, his need. Make me yours, he whispered against Jungkook's lips. Completely yours. With hands that shook with restrained need, he undressed Taehyung slowly, reverently, kissing each piece of exposed skin like he was memorizing scripture. He mapped every inch of his Omega's body, the curve of his neck where he would place his mark, the dip of his waist, the sensitive skin of his inner thighs that made Taehyung gasp and arch. Kooky, Taehyung moaned, his Omega nature rising to meet his alpha's call, slick starting to ease the way. Please, I know what you need, baby, Jungkook promised, his voice a growl that went straight to Taehyung's core. Gonna take such good care of you. Gonna make you feel so good. Gonna fill you up and mark you and make sure everyone knows you're mine. When Jungkook finally pushed inside, slow and careful despite how much his alpha nature demanded he claim fast and hard, Taehyung cried out at the perfect fullness of it, the way they fit together like puzzle pieces finally finding their place. Move, Taehyung begged, wrapping his legs around Jungkook's waist, pulling him deeper. Please, Alpha, I need you. Jungkook set a rhythm that was both tender and possessive, each a promise, each kiss a vow. He made love to his Omega like he had all the time in the world, like nothing existed beyond this moment, this bed, this perfect union of souls. Gonna not you, Jungkook growled as pleasure built between them like a tide. Gonna mark you. Gonna breed you full of my pups. You want that, baby? Want me to make you mine in every way? Yes. Taehyung practically sobbed, his Omega nature singing with need, his body preparing to receive his alpha's claim. Yes, mark me, breed me, make me yours. When Jungkook's knot began to swell, catching on Taehyung's rim with each, the Omega threw his head back, baring his throat in submission and trust. Jungkook leaned down, his teeth grazing the sensitive skin where neck met shoulder. And at the moment of Taehyung's, he bit down. The pain was sharp and bright and perfect, transforming instantly into pleasure so intense Taehyung saw stars. He could feel it, the bond snapping into place, tying their souls together, making them one in a way that transcended the physical. He could feel Jungkook's love pouring through the bond, his devotion, his promise to protect and cherish forever. Mine, Jungkook growled against the fresh mark, his knot fully seated now, locking them together. My Omega. My mate. My everything. Yours, Taehyung agreed, tears streaming down his face from the overwhelming emotion and pleasure. Always yours, Alpha. They stayed locked together for almost an hour, Jungkook's not keeping them joined as his seed filled Taehyung deep, his alpha biology ensuring his Omega would be thoroughly bred. They kissed and whispered love confessions and promises. their hands never stopping their gentle exploration of each other's bodies. When Jungkook's knot finally went down, he carefully pulled out, both of them gasping at the sensation. But he wasn't done. His rut had been triggered by the bonding, his alpha nature demanding he claim his omega again and again, ensuring his seed would take. Again, he growled, already hardening once more. Need you again, baby? And Taehyung, his own heat triggered by his alpha's rut, wrapped his arms around Jungkook's neck with a smile that was pure sin. Then take me again, husband. Fill me with your pups. Make me round with your babies. They made love 3 more times that night. In different positions with different intensities, but always with the same overwhelming love and devotion. By dawn they were thoroughly exhausted, thoroughly satisfied. And Taehyung was thoroughly bred, Jungkook's seed deep in his belly where it would take root. 2 months later, Taehyung held a positive pregnancy test and shaking hands, tears streaming down his face as Jungkook spun him around their apartment. Both of them laughing and crying at once. We're having a baby, Taehyung whispered in wonder, his hand going to his still flat stomach. We're having a baby, Jungkook agreed, dropping to his knees to kiss Taehyung's stomach reverently. Thank you, my beautiful Omega. Thank you for this gift, for choosing me, for loving me. Always, Taehyung promised, running his fingers through his alpha's hair. I'll always choose you, Kookie. In every lifetime, in every universe, I'll always find my way back to you. The cry pierced through the delivery room, loud and indignant, and Taehyung collapsed back against the pillows with tears streaming down his face. Jungkook was there instantly, kissing his forehead, his cheeks, his lips, whispering praise and love. You did it, baby, Jungkook said, his own voice thick with emotion. You did so good. I'm so proud of you. Mr. Kim-jong, the doctor said with a warm smile, approaching with a small bundle wrapped in soft blue blankets. Meet your son. Taehyung's breath caught as the baby was placed in his arms. He was perfect, absolutely perfect. Tiny fists waved in the air, a tuft of dark hair on his head, and when his eyes blinked open, they were the same shape as Taehyung's but held the deep intensity of Jungkook's gaze. Oh, Taehyung whispered, fresh tears falling. Jungkook, look at him. He's beautiful. Jungkook leaned over them both, one finger gently stroking their son's impossibly soft cheek. He looks like both of us, he said in wonder. He has your nose but my eyebrows, your lips but my jawline. Sehun, Taehyung said softly, looking down at their baby. Hello, Sehun. We've been waiting so long to meet you. The baby, Sehun, made a small noise and turned his face toward Taehyung's chest. Already seeking comfort from his Omega parent, Jungkook's sense spiked with pride and possessiveness and overwhelming love. My family, he murmured, wrapping his arms carefully around both his Omega and their pup. My whole world. The first few months were a beautiful blur of sleepless nights and tiny milestones. Sehun was a relatively easy baby, content as long as he could see or smell one of his parents. He had Taehyung's expressive eyes and Jungkook's serious expression, a combination that made everyone who met him coo and fuss. But as Sehun grew and began to show signs of his personality, they started to notice something interesting. He was possessive, incredibly possessive, of his dada. It started small. At 4 months, Sehun would cry whenever Jungkook tried to hold Taehyung while the Omega was feeding him. At 6 months, he learned to push Jungkook's hand away when the Alpha tried to hug Taehyung. By his first birthday, it had become a full-blown rivalry for Taehyung's attention. Dada. Sehun would cry, toddling over on unsteady legs to grab Taehyung's pants, shooting Jungkook a glare that was far too adult for a 1-year-old. My dada. I know he's your dada, bud, Jungkook said with strained patience, trying to steal a kiss from his husband while Sehun was distracted with his toys. But he was my Tae first. No. Sehun shrieked, abandoning his toys to wedge himself between his parents. My dada. Appa, go away. Taehyung tried not to laugh at the wounded expression on Jungkook's face. Sehuna, you have to share dada with Appa. We both love you very much. No share. Sehun declared, wrapping his little arms around Taehyung's leg. Only mine. Jungkook sighed, running a hand through his hair. Their intimate life had become virtually non-existent. Every time he tried to initiate anything with Taehyung, even just a heated kiss, Sehun would somehow sense it and appear. Crying or demanding attention or just staring at Jungkook with accusatory eyes that said, back off, that's my dada. He's the sensational blocker, Jungkook complained one evening after yet another failed attempt at intimacy. They were in bed, Taehyung reading while Jungkook scrolled through his phone. Sehun fast asleep in his nursery down the hall. Our own son is. Me. Taehyung laughed, setting his book aside. He's just attached to me. It's normal. He'll grow out of it. When? Jungkook asked, rolling over to bury his face in Taehyung's neck. When he's 30? I miss my husband. I miss touching you without tiny hands trying to push me away. You're being dramatic, Taehyung said, but his fingers found their way into Jungkook's hair, scratching lightly at his scalp the way the alpha loved. You're just jealous that someone else loves me as much as you do. More? Jungkook grumbled. He loves you more. I saw the way he looked at me when I tried to cuddle you during movie night. Like I was the enemy. He gets it from you, you know, Taehyung teased. The possessiveness. The protective instincts. He's a mini alpha already, just like his appa. Jungkook pulled back to look at Taehyung, his eyes softening. You think so? I know so, Taehyung confirmed. He's got your intensity, your determination, your absolute devotion. He's exactly like you, Kookie. Which means he'll also learn to share, just like you learned to let others love me too. Our friends, our family. That's different, Jungkook protested. They don't want to. He gestured vaguely at Taehyung's body, making his husband laugh again. Come here, Taehyung said, pulling Jungkook down for a proper kiss. We have at least an hour before his next feeding. Let's make the most of it. They were just getting into it, Jungkook's hands sliding under Taehyung's sleep shirt, when the baby monitor crackled to life with an indignant cry. You've got to be kidding me, Jungkook groaned. He has your timing too, Taehyung said with a sympathetic smile, kissing his alpha's forehead before climbing out of bed. I'll get him. Jungkook flopped back against the pillows, staring at the ceiling. This is my life now. Competing with my own son for my husband's attention. By the time Sehun turned 2, the possessiveness had reached new heights. He had a vocabulary now, which meant he could express his feelings in words that were both adorable and frustrating. Appa no, Sehun would say, pushing at Jungkook's chest with his small hands whenever the alpha tried to hug Taehyung. Dada mine. Not Appa's. Sehuna, Jungkook would try to reason with him, crouching down to his son's level. Dada belongs to both of us. We can both love him. No, Sehun would insist, his bottom lip jutting out in a pout that was pure Taehyung. My dada. Appa has work. I have dada. That's not how it works, bud. Is too. Taehyung watched these exchanges with fond exasperation, loving both his boys even when they were being ridiculous. Sehun, baby, come here. The toddler immediately abandoned his standoff with Jungkook to run to Taehyung, who scooped him up and settled him on his hip. You know Appa loves dada very much, right? Taehyung said gently. Just like you do. And dada has enough love for both of you. My heart is big enough for my baby boy and my husband. But Appa gets you all night, Sehun complained, his face scrunching up. I only get day. That's because you need to sleep, baby, Taehyung explained. But how about this? Tomorrow we have a special Sehun and Dada day? Just the two of us. Sehun's face lit up. Really? Really? We can go to the park, get ice cream, do whatever you want. Okay. Sehun agreed, then turned to shoot Jungkook a triumphant look that clearly said, I won. Jungkook just sighed and shook his head, but he was smiling. As frustrating as it was, there was something endearing about how much Sehun loved Taehyung. It reminded Jungkook of himself, of the intensity of his own devotion to his Omega. That night, after Sehun was finally asleep, after 3 stories, 2 glasses of water and 1 check for monsters, Jungkook cornered Taehyung in their bedroom. Alone at last, he murmured, backing his husband against the door, his hands bracketing Taehyung's head. Kooky, Taehyung laughed, but his pupils dilated with interest. You're acting like it's been months. It's been 2 weeks since we've done more than kiss, Jungkook said, his voice dropping to that low rumble that made Taehyung's Omega nature sit up and take notice. 2 weeks, Tae. I'm dying here. Poor Alpha, Taehyung teased, but he was already pulling Jungkook closer, already tilting his head to offer his throat. Whatever will we do about that? I have some ideas, Jungkook growled, and captured his Omega's mouth in a kiss that was all heat and need and 2 weeks of pent-up desire. They stumbled toward the bed, shedding clothes, hands mapping familiar territory with the desperation of lovers too long denied. Jungkook mouthed at Taehyung's bonding mark, making the Omega gasp and arch, his body already preparing for his alpha. Missed you, Jungkook murmured against Taehyung's skin. Missed this. Missed being inside you, feeling you around me. Then stop talking and do something about it, Taehyung challenged, and Jungkook didn't need to be told twice. They came together with the perfect synchronicity of mates who knew each other's bodies as well as their own. The bond between them singing with pleasure and love and connection. Jungkook set a pace that was both tender and desperate, making love to his Omega like he was trying to make up for lost time. Love you, Taehyung gasped, his hands fisted in Jungkook's hair. Love you so much, Alpha. My Kooky. My Tae, Jungkook replied, his voice strained with control. My Omega. My everything. They were just reaching that perfect peak, pleasure coiling tight in both their bellies, when... Dada. They froze. Sehun's voice came from the hallway, followed by the patter of little feet. No, Jungkook whispered, looking genuinely pained. No, no, no. The door burst open and Sehun stood there in his pajamas, his hair sticking up in all directions. His bottom lip trembling. Dada. Had bad dream. Taehyung immediately shifted into parent mode, gently pushing Jungkook off him and grabbing his robe. Oh baby, come here. It's okay, Dada's here. Jungkook fell back on the bed with a groan, throwing an arm over his eyes. I'm never having. Again? He muttered. This is my life now. Taehyung shot him an apologetic look over Sehun's head as he picked up their son. Rain check. At this rate, we'll need to schedule it 6 months in advance, Jungkook grumbled, but he was already getting up, already reaching for his own robe to help comfort their son. Because as frustrating as it was, as much as he missed having uninterrupted time with his husband, he loved this, their little family, their perfect son, the beautiful chaos of it all. Sehun snuggled into Taehyung's chest, his tiny hand fisting in his dada's robe. Love dada, he mumbled sleepily. Love you too, baby, Taehyung said, kissing the top of his head. And Appa? Jungkook prompted hopefully. Sehun cracked one eye open to look at him. Love Appa too. Little bit. I'll take it, Jungkook said with a laugh, ruffling his son's hair. The end. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked it.